Rex Remitio, CNN Philippines.
One of the companies on the list, telecommunications giant PLDT, in a statement says it received the decision of the Labor Secretary on April 30th. PLDT says it filed a petition for review before the Court of Appeals on May 2. The company says, quote, certain aspects of the decision were inconsistent with applicable law, jurisprudence, and the documentary and testimonial evidence presented to the DOLE, or the Labor Secretary, unquote. CNN Philippines is still reaching out to the other companies mentioned by Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello. In the meantime, Senator Grace Poe is supporting calls to suspend excise taxes on fuel in the tax reform program. Poe, who is the committee chair on public services, calls on the Finance Department to evaluate the suspension. She explains this is to cushion the impact of the excise tax on the public. But the Finance Department says it can only suspend the next increase if certain conditions are met. Calls for the fuel excise tax suspension picked up amid rising oil prices. Will the upward trend on fuel prices continue? And should we be alarmed over the weakening peso against the dollar? Our business analyst Mike Alimurong gives us the lowdown on what to expect.
We may not see prices going down soon because of a number of factors. For one, tensions remain in the Middle East among countries such as Syria, Iran, and Israel. And since we import most of our oil requirements from that region, we're affected. Another development is the move of oil producers like the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, or OPEC, and Russia to reduce output to address an oversupply. And by doing so, maintain relatively high oil prices. There's also the impact of high fuel excise taxes from the train law. So when put all together, high demand and the impact of train result in high pump prices that will remain in the foreseeable future.
The peso continues to weaken against the dollar. Should we be alarmed?
Well, no need to panic just yet. Even as the peso has touched a fresh low again today at 52 pesos and 70 centavos to the dollar. For one, the Bangko Sentral just raised interest rates 2 weeks ago to curb inflation, but also to attract foreign investors to the country. When the country becomes more attractive to investors, there will be a greater demand for the peso. At this time, investment in the Philippines stock market is still highly dependent on foreign investments. Not surprisingly, many analysts predict the peso to weaken further against the dollar in the coming year.
We asked, how are you coping with the rising cost of goods and services? And it seems a lot of netizens are rolling with the punches. Facebook user P. Don Lagrada chooses not to whine, but to find ways to cut costs. Some of his tips: take the bus instead of driving, plant vegetables instead of buying them, and don't travel if you don't have to. Lord Kurt Dantes keeps his answer simple. He says smart spending, healthy living, additional take-home pay is greater than household expenses. Rolly Nunez sees this as a chance to lose weight, saying, diet, honestly, diet. Meantime, Dolino Peterson lists down some advantages to the higher prices of goods. Among them is a dip in the number of smokers, drinking sessions, and car buyers. He adds it's good for the health because you'll get additional exercise and cut down on vices. Peterson also says it's okay as long as the government will use the collected taxes properly. Alleged pork barrel scam mastermind Janet Lim Napoles is out of the Witness Protection Program, or WPP. Justice Secretary Menardo Guevara informed Napoles in a letter that the provisional protection granted to her under the WPP, which expires on May 26, would not be extended. In February, former Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre granted Napoles provisional protection for 90 days after she cited threats to her safety. Napoles also asked to be transferred from detention in Camp Bagong Diwa to a secure housing facility where the public has limited access. But Guevara sees no reason to extend the protection coverage, saying there has been no further claim of threats to Napoles at Camp Bagong Diwa. CNN Philippines spoke with Napoles' lawyer Stephen David, who regrets the Justice Department's move.
Sayang hindi na malaman ng tao kung sino talaga yung mga involved sa na talagang yung ibang involved na malalaki na hindi na sayang, di ba? Kasi mahirap naman magsalita siya na may threat sa buhay niya doon sa loob. Nakakapanghinayang lang. Ang dami dapat na maimbestigahan pa, hindi makakatulong yun.
Asked if Napoles would refuse to talk without witness protection, David says his client is willing to testify as long as her security is guaranteed. Meantime, presidential spokesperson Harry Roque says Malacanang supports the Justice Department's decision to take Napoles out of the WPP. Roque adds, quote, Lim Napoles is not least guilty, whose testimony is not indispensable, unquote. Meantime, Grab files an appeal to reimpose its 2 peso additional charge per minute of travel. In the petition filed May 22nd, Grab notes that transport regulators allowed new transport network companies to impose travel charges. Last month, Grab was ordered by the LTFRB to suspend the 2 peso per minute fee. PBA Party List Representative Jericho Nograles slammed the fee as illegal. He said the charge was imposed without the public's knowledge, but Grab maintains it has been transparent to its riders. Aside from the appeal to reimpose the additional charge, Grab also filed a petition for a fare increase. The Philippine ID system bill is an inch closer to becoming a law. Once it does, the public can get a unified ID that can be used in all government and even private transactions. Our Joyce Ilas tells us more.
Filipinos will soon do away with different kinds of identification cards when dealing with the government and private sector, as Congress prepares to ratify the Philippine ID system bill next week. After it is signed by the President, officials carrying out the law will initially roll out the cards to 1 million Filipinos this year, beginning with persons with disability, senior citizens, and the poor.
Ngayon kasi sandamakmak ang ID na ginagamit natin ng bawat ahensya ng gobyerno, may mga IDs. Ngayon, isa na lang. Isang ID ang magagamit mo sa iba't ibang transaksyon sa gobyerno, maging sa private kasi sa bangko, usually hihingin sa atin 2 valid IDs. Ngayon, isang ID na lang.
The PhilSys ID will have 13 sets of information. On its face, the ID number, full name, sex, blood type, date of birth, place of birth, marital status, and facial picture of the card bearer. More information will be stored in the PhilSys registry, such as mobile number, email address, and biometrics data, including full set of fingerprints and iris scan. Filipino citizens and resident aliens should register personally in accredited registration centers nationwide.
So that even if you lost the ID, in all agencies of the government and in all private institutions na may scanner, you can transact business by just presenting your biometrics.
Some lawmakers, however, express concern over data security.
Malaking usapin sa atin ang Philippine Statistics Authority, ang kanilang systems dyan ay being operated by a foreign corporation, yung Unisys, no, na hindi malayo na itong ating mga information, no, basic information, yung atong biometrics ay mahak, then it can be used, no, sa ibang kapamaraanan, criminal, commercial, or otherwise.
They also fear that private information may be used to quell dissent.
Dahil yan ay maaari na gamitin sa paniniktik, sa mas pinaigting na surveillance at saka repression ng mga nais pang magsalita at tumutol sa iba't ibang mga patakaran ng gobyerno.
The bill's authors, however, say safeguards are in place to protect data privacy.
Itong ID natin na ito ay talagang kumbaga pinag-isipan at hindi pwedeng buksan kung walang court order. Pangalawa, kung wala pong consent ng individual. At maaari lamang itong buksan kung merong compelling interest ng ng ating safety at saka ng public health.
Some Filipinos have mixed opinions on the Philippine ID system.
Okay na siguro yung mas marami kang ID para kung mawala man yung isa, mayroong isa. Ayun, kung mawala, wala na.
Okay lang yun. Sa akin okay lang yun. Kasi para mas mapabilis lahat ng transaction. No? Kasi kung sakali, marami pa kasing ID hinahanap, mas matatagalan.
Siguro taasan nyo na lang yung security level ninyo para hindi ma-hack.
The program will have an initial budget of 2 billion pesos this year, with Metro Manila, Calabarzon, and the Cordillera Autonomous Region as pilot areas. The government-issued card comes without cost to the owner. Joyce Ila, CNN Philippines.
The government reacts to the drop in the country's global competitive ranking for 2018. Switzerland-based IMD World Competitiveness Center says the Philippines posted the biggest decline in the Asia-Pacific region. The country fell by 9 places to 50th in a list of 63 countries. Malacanang assures it is addressing these concerns. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque says the government has measures in place, including the Build projects and the continuation of the K-12 program. One of the largest food and beverage conglomerates in the country returns to the bond market with a fresh offer of fixed-rate bonds. In a disclosure to the Philippine Stock Exchange, San Miguel Corporation says it is set to enroll another set of 2-year fixed-rate notes with a total amount of 10 billion pesos at the Philippine Dealing and Exchange Corporation. These bonds have a fixed interest rate of 5.25% per year and will be due by 2020. This enrollment brings the total listed issues by the SMC traded in the PDEX to 60 billion pesos. San Miguel Senior Vice President Treasury Head Sergio Edeza led the ringing of the ceremonial bell at the Philippine Stock Exchange today to herald the company's second foray to the secondary market. Former Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno asks for an extension on a show cause order against her. This is for allegedly violating the sub judice rule, which prohibits comments that pertain to pending judicial proceedings. Sereno allegedly broke the rule by earlier by discussing the merits of the quo warranto petition against her in public. Sereno spokesperson Josa Dainla says the motion was filed this afternoon. She adds the former Chief Justice is asking for a 15-day extension. Australian missionary Sister Patricia Fox is here to stay, at least for now. This despite the Immigration Bureau ordering her to leave. Fox will stay until the Justice Department resolves the motion for reconsideration her camp filed this afternoon. The nun's lawyer, Catherine Panguban, says they expect the Bureau to honor its own rules and laws, that it cannot immediately execute its order pending an appeal. In the petition, Fox argues that the grounds enumerated by the Bureau in canceling her missionary visa were not among the valid grounds stated in the Bureau of Immigration's Omnibus Rules of Procedure of 2015. They say there's no basis for canceling her visa and that the Bureau's claims are mere speculations. The petition also says Fox's alleged participation in so-called political activity as grounds for her deportation violates her right of freedom of speech and assembly.
Nakaapila po tayo. So, yun po. Hindi po maaaring paalisin pa ng Bureau of Immigration si Sister Patricia Fox. Valid pa po ang kanyang missionary visa. Panawagan po sa Bureau of Immigration na sana ay kilalanin nila ang kanilang sariling omnibus rules, ang existing laws natin. Kilalanin na lang po sana ito ng Bureau of Immigration at ganun din po, panawagan din po namin sa Department of Justice na kilalanin din ang mga nasabing batas.
Mapasalamat ako sa mga abogado at sa mga tumating dito para pag-support sa akin. Siyempre, ang wish ko ay tutuloy ang missionary work dito kasama ng mga mahihirap at sana yan ang resulta ng mga at mapatuloy ako ng trabaho bilang misyonero, bilang human rights defender, bilang magpagalingan ng mga mahihirap.
The Justice Department says Sister Fox has until June 18 to stay in the country. The department has also asked the Immigration Bureau to comment on Fox's petition for review.